Hello everybody, hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor here. We are back with the Rumour Mill. Yes, it is back. I've just been buzzing to bring this back for a while now. And listen, it is what it is. We're back discussing Leeds United, discussing not only what's going on rumour-wise with the Whites. Obviously, we speak normally in the summer months and obviously the January month about this. But it's everything else. It's going to be the rumour mill comprised of everything that's going on at Leeds United, little bits of news and all this sort of good stuff. So, guys, if you want to see the return of this on a consistent basis, please smash the like. I'll be coming to you live at around about 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock every single morning. So tune in. We will be providing a little bit of news. And also, later on, we have the return of Mr. David Brown, who will be back. And me and Brownie are going to start sort of like a preview every single week if we can. And also on the Patreon account, guys, we are going to be smashing out content. Today, we're going to do 3 signings that I would look at signing in January, which I've got noted down. If you guys are interested in that sort of stuff, we're going to be putting pre-match stuff on there as well. If you want to support the channel, can go over there and do so. But let me just get into a few of your comments. Hiya, Daniel, hope you're all good, mate. Mark Adams says, morning, Connor. LFC Love says, flag up today. Yes, mate, exactly. Found a bit of sticky tape, as you probably can see. Managed to whack it up. You know, when you rent in a place, you can't, can you? You can't be pinning stuff up because the landlord will get you. Morning all, says Jay. Morning Connor, great debrief last night. That's another thing, everybody. If you want to head on over and see the debrief last night, we had a right laugh. We had a real good laugh, and we're going to be trying to get Dave Brown back on there as well as much as we can. Brownie's schedule is all up, it's everywhere. He's doing Sheffield Wednesday stuff. He's travelling with Leeds, home and away, and he's got work as well. So, yeah, he's a busy boy. Morning, Connor. Love the debrief last night. I think we just said that, Helen. Thank you so much for that. AJ's in the building. Hi, AJ. I hope you're all good. Morning, Connor, says Michael Brown. Is it the Michael Brown? Who knows? Let's get into the first bit of news this morning, everybody. I can see you all chatting about a certain someone in the chat below, and we'll definitely get to that. But some good news on the mill this morning. A lot of you will be saying, Connor, why have you got Stuart Dallas on the discussion point this morning? Well, the Northern Ireland boss has revealed Michael O'Neill is considering bringing Leeds United man Stuart Dallas back into the fold for the upcoming international break after revealing progress has been made on the player's comeback from injury. Absolutely massive when you think about that with Stuart Dallas. Obviously, he's had a real long period of time out of this Leeds setup, and it's interesting right now because I think Byram's almost filling that role. You know, he's filling the role of Stuart Dallas in that Bielsa season where it was, you know, the utility man, but the utility man who could play left, can play right, could play central, could play right wing. And that is Byram. And it's so interesting how there are so many similar profiles to that of the Bielsa season. You know, another one you can throw in there is Joe Rodon replicating Ben White. And yeah, I think Perot, and I know a lot of you guys will scream at me for this, but just in terms of how leisurely he is and how sort of creative he can be and innovative, sort of mirrors Pablo in a few ways. But he isn't Pablo, of course. But yeah, there are a few similarities, which is very interesting. You know, you compare Helder Costa probably to some of our wingers. Unfortunately, Connor, it is not the Michael Brown. Bradley Pickens. Hiya, Bradley. Looking forward to watching the debrief when I'm in bed tonight. Love chilling out in bed with a cup of watching the debrief on my TV before bed. Oh, Bradley, I might join you, mate. Not join you, not in a weird way, but I mean, I might watch it myself with a cup of tea in bed. Yeah. No miscommunication there, my friend. Connor says, Adam, if we don't sign a backup centre-back and Spence is fit, could be an option putting Ampadu back there in grey midfield. Still think Rodon and Strauch is the best centre-back pairing. I agree with you, mate. 100% agree with you. And I think that's definitely something to take into consideration. But what would you guys like to do? You know, would you be excited to see Stuart Dallas back in the fold, or is Stuart almost at that same point as a lot of the other Leeds United players? You look at Luke Ayling, you look at maybe Liam Cooper, you look at Patrick Bamford, where in the nicest way possible it's surplus to requirements, or does Stuart Dallas have that little bit where you think, you know what, it's not been fair on Stuart with what's gone on? You know, he's gone through a lot, and to get back, I mean, if he gets back fit and firing with the injury that he's faced, fair play, 100%. That'll be very, it'll be exceptional. This individual, a new Leeds United target. Leeds are one of multiple clubs, including Sunderland and Ipswich. Several clubs included to take a centre back on loan or as a permanent fixture in the January months. The Ghana international Ajayi has been the subject of interest from Celtic, Rangers, Ipswich, and Leeds United. And this begs the question, we're going to see this loads, aren't we? It's, do Leeds need another centre-back? Do we need to go for another centre-back in the month of January? Now, I would probably hark on the side of yes. And the reason behind that, it's not because I don't think certain individuals are good enough. I do think that if Joe Rodon is out of this fold, Leeds become considerably weaker. And I think Leeds going out there and getting a centre-back who is better than Liam Cooper and maybe has a few sort of yards in the tank when it comes to quality, I think that's a really good move for Leeds United. I'd be really up for that. And it'd be fascinating to hear what you guys think on that as well. I think a lot right now depends on Joe Rodon. We were discussing on the debrief the week previous that if we go to, because there was the injury issue, wasn't there, with Joe Rodon, if we go to Leicester without Joe Rodon and Liam Cooper starts, it's a completely different game. You're thinking to yourself, this is probably going to be a loss, really. And I think Rodon, even the other night against Leicester, he proved how pivotal he is. Joe says, still think Stu deserves a chance. And then if he's crap like Ayling, I think that's meant to say, and the rest, then we know we tried. Matt's in the building, says, we need another right-sided centre-back, but also get Rodon signed in January, or at least get the ball rolling with Spurs. I'd love to see that, mate. I would love to see that. Manji has said, prove his fitness. He's also said that I'd keep Dallas on a pay-as-you-play contract as he needs a chance to prove. Yeah, I think that's a good point, really. And David said the same thing. Jason Lee in the building as well about Cresswell. I just don't think Farke fancies him. Just does not fancy him whatsoever. And you can always tell with players. I know this sounds ridiculous and so obvious, but you can always tell when they're just out of the fold completely. He's not getting any minutes whatsoever. I think that's really key to take into consideration. With all this sort of stuff. Jay, I love Dallas, but after the injury, he won't be the same player. Happy to keep him as a backup off the bench last 5 minutes when he's seeing games out, but shouldn't be considered as a starter anymore. Russ says, morning, Connor, hope you're well. I think Dallas should be given another chance because of how long he's been out with injury. I wouldn't put him in the same bracket as Ayling, Coops and Paddy. Good comment there, mate. I think that's where I'm at, Russ. I think really good comment as well by Joe in terms of just paying them as they're playing. I think that's key. We do that, and you're keeping all parties happy, really. Very, very interesting. But I would be looking at a centre back. Obviously, Ajayi plays for Hammarby in Sweden, Ghanaian international. Loads of people interested. 3.5 million. Would that make sense? Who knows? None of us know. Are you looking to go out and get a proven player? Angus Kinnear said that there's 2 spots loan-wise open in January. Could Leeds go for another Premier League loan? Could be a really good addition. Moving on to one of our favourite players at this moment in time, who is flying, I have to say, and he's getting me off the edge of my seat every single time I watch him play. And I've put on the title of this video that the 22-year-old wants Leeds back. And the reason I've said that is because he's mentioned in a recent article, an article that he's been interviewed in, that he wants to get Leeds United back to the Premier League. Now, for me, that's really exciting news. Maybe you guys would think, Connor, you're looking too much into it. But for me, that says Crysencio Somerville staying in the January window. It says to me, Crysencio Somerville is absolutely headstrong on being at Leeds United and being that main man. And I think rejecting offers from Burnley and him not kicking his toys out the pram as a certain someone did, and saying he wants to knuckle down and be at Leeds United. With all the crap that Leeds endured when it came to all the players who wanted to jump ship, it was really, really great that when 2 players who are exceeding expectations at Leeds United, the question was asked of them, Somerville, Rutter, would they leave Leeds United? Rutter, an offer from Dortmund, 29 million quid. Hey, listen, I was at Dortmund not long ago, watching them play. Fabulous atmosphere, fabulous stadium, fabulous fans, all of which Leeds United have. But being a man who's played in Germany as well, Hoffenheim, Rutter may have thought, this isn't going well for me, I want to jump ship. He didn't. He stayed and he was committed. But one person who a lot of people don't speak about with this is Somerville. Head down. Burnley offered money for him, good money for him, and both of them are exemplary at the minute. See him on screen here, and I love this quote that Somerville's just put. He said, speaking on his relationship with Rutter, Somerville says he took him under his wing after a difficult start to his Leeds United career, which is interesting. Leadership there from Somerville at such a young age. He said, quote, one of my friends from back home actually played alongside Jorginho at Hoffenheim. So when he arrived, I already knew him. His quality is unbelievable. He had a difficult time at the beginning, so I tried to help him through it. Players like Calvin Phillips and Rafinha took me under their wing when I arrived. So for me, it was only right to do the same with Jorginho and Willie. Now that's mental. That is mental. The age Somerville's at, we all look at Crescencio and think, God, he's a young lad. He's developing. He's raw. But how amazing is that? Like, for the level that he's at in terms of the development of his career, he's got his whole career ahead of him to learn leadership skills, to learn, those forward-thinking skills that you develop at a later age as a footballer. And he's doing that now, so that he's showing the quality on the pitch. And he's so important for us right now, Somerville. And it's really exciting. Kevin's in the building, says Somerville is Leeds. I agree, mate. And, Nige says give him an updated contract. Rutter would fit him in perfect at Dortmund, yeah. And Jay said, I love that from Korean. It's just great. I think it just shows another side of Somerville. He's seen it from Rafa. And he's seen it from Calvin. Another great thing is Rafinha did that for him. And you guys all know how much I adored Rafinha. But it was so nice to hear that Rafa had that side to him as well. Taking Somerville under his wing. What a player he was for us, Jesus Christ. And if anyone could replicate what Rafinha did in the season for us, then fantastic news. Daniel's in the building. Thanks so much for your donation, mate. As I say, all donations go straight into the channel production, which I'm looking to up. As much as possible. Hi, Connor. The debrief was a fairing, mate. Thank you. I think that's a good thing. If Brendan Arenson comes back and he's got rhinos, the training is upper body strength. Thanks for your donation, my friend. Yeah, really appreciate that. Yeah, we'll get on to old BA in a minute. But yeah, I thought that was a really nice quote from Crescencio Somerville. So there we go. In my opinion, he's 100% staying. And on top of that, you've got the likes of him and Rutter forming a really good partnership. There's one thing that I want to speak on as well. And it's this, man. I would expect him to be leaving Leeds United in January. Now, what does that mean? Is that a positive or a negative for Leeds? Well, it's been weird because, Chris Somerville's just said then, that he tried to take Willie under, he's trying to take Willie under his arm there and move forward with him. Amazing. But it just feels that he's not hit those heights yet. He's not hit the Nono heights where I don't think like assists and goals wise, he was unbelievable last year. But what he did was he just took players out the game, and he was Leeds' main man, really, wasn't he, towards the back end of the season, above Somerville, who I felt was really raw last year and just wasn't able to, be consistent like he is this season. But Willie this year is, I don't know. I'm not saying he's checked out. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to put that out there because he's, he's still dancing with Somerville when he's scoring and he's on the bench. But you've got to look at Nonto's expectations. Wants to get into the Italy squad for the World Cup. Wants to get there for the World Cup. That's going to be massive for him as a young lad, someone who will be their poster boy, which is crazy to say he's on Leeds United's bench and not getting minutes. But you've got him there. You've got him getting, against Leicester a couple of minutes. I'd be really, really, really surprised if this guy was a Leeds United player after post-Jan. And obviously we knew what happened in January, but maybe Leeds turned around to him and said, look, just give us until January and then we'll sort it out. But then you're looking at the other clubs. And the peak of all these players of their career is playing in the Premier League. That's why Nonto will have come. Obviously, he came from Zurich, which is obviously a much lower standard, but he's playing in the Premier League. He'll want to play in the Premier League again. But what Premier League club is going to come in for him at the minute? I don't think there's going to be many. A lot will say Everton, but I don't think so. I think, they've edged the bets with Jack Harrison. Looks like they want to make that a permanent deal at some point, which is absolutely fine with me. But, yeah. It's going to be fascinating, once again, keep using that F word, to see what happens to Willie Nono. And the key thing is we rejected up to 25 million in the summer months. So if Leeds are to get 25 million for him, obviously we've got Jayden Anthony, who a lot of us forget about. Jayden Anthony's still there. You've got, obviously we've got Dan James, got Somerville, we've got a lot of options up top, a lot of options. So the Leeds then go and use that money for a centre-back. or do Leeds then go out and get another winger, you know, and then get a centre back with that money? I think that wouldn't be a bad option whatsoever, to be honest. Excuse me. Sorry, Adam. I'd personally cash in on Nonto if we get upwards of 25 mil. I think we'd get 2 or 3 quality champ players for that, and maybe take Rodon as a permanent. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Rodon as a permanent is a very good suggestion. Joe says, how pleased are you with his development over the last few seasons? Saw him in Amsterdam Airport a few months back. Should have got a picture. Yeah, it's a bit weird when you get a little bit older, isn't it, Joe? Like, I'm a little bit like that. I remember getting a picture with Click and Melier and thinking, what am I doing? I'm nearly 30 years old. I used to have this autograph book, and I'd go down to Tadcaster swimming pool, and all the Leeds players, all the, you know, Kuhl, Decor, Bakker, Batty, you know, all the boys, Matteo, used to go to Tad swimming pool back in the day, Tadcaster swimming pool. It's where I went to high school. And I used to go to the swimming pool with my dad, and I'd have an autograph book, and I'd go and ask them for signings and all this sort of stuff. It's, oh my God, it's Harry Kuhl, oh my God, Jason Wilcox, and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, so it's a bit weird nowadays, isn't it? You can't really ask for a picture, and the autograph books are a bit weird. Sorry, a little tangent there. But keep the squad as it is right now in January, and hopefully no injuries, and we'll be promoted. That's a good point there. Funny how players just want to play in the Prem, even if it means a relegation fight. And if we go up and they go down, they'll want to return to their club. I stopped in traffic in Weatherby to get a photo with Bielsa from 42. Yeah, lost, but that's. Yeah, it's iconic, that really, isn't it? I completely understand that. Also, we're getting autograph stories now. I saw Nonto and Harrogate M&S buying 8 cans of Stella. I thought it was a 40-year-old man. I'm asking for an 18-year-old, 40-year-old man asking an 18-year-old for a pick. Incredible. Is that actually what happened? He was buying. I don't know if you're having me on it there, mate, and you could be doing, but if he was buying Stella, that's incredible. He was drinking at one point, wasn't he? I think it was just when he was having a bit of time off. I can't quite remember. I think it was then when all that stuff was going on. Okay, next bit of news, everybody. The player of the month and the manager of the month are being announced, which is really interesting. Looks like Michael Carrick's up for it, who's the main one, who you can't really disagree with that, to be honest with you. Carrick's done wonders, hasn't he? Corbrand's in there as well. I don't think Corbrand is in there. He's not in there, Corbrand. Russell Martin's turned it round at Southampton, hasn't he, at the minute? Maresca's in there, and Kieran McKenna. I thought there'd have been a shout for Daniel Farke, but I sort of understand it. You know, you throw maybe the Stoke result in there, and that might scupper a few bits. But the interesting bit is the Sky Bet Championship Players of the Month. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, Hladky, who's Ipswich Town's goalkeeper, Perry NG, Cardiff City fullback, and Crescencio Somerville, who I will say has got 5 goals and 3 assists from 5 games. It's got to be Somerville. It's got to be Somerville. Like, his upward trajectory, hi Ken, by the way, has been unbelievable. He's been so good, and he deserves it for me. I think so. I think so, certainly. For me, Somerville. Now, I'm not saying I've been watching Perry NG, but I have watched Crescencio Somerville, and I mean, he needs Player of the Month for just what he did to Huddersfield in one game. He was absolutely exceptional. I think Cree's development over the last month has been really exceptional, to be honest with you. And I think he deserves it. Farke, I can understand him not getting the managerial of the month award. I'd probably be looking at giving that maybe to Carrick. He's done a pretty decent job over the last month. Who'd you rather have, Share or Nonto? I'm going to be doing something, Charlie, on my Patreon immediately after this video. If you fancy just some extra bonus content, there is that, mate. Head on over there if you fancy that. It's just a £5 a month, and all proceeds go to the channel. But we are going to be doing a transfer video today. What is the situation with Cresswell? To be honest, Michael, I just think he's out of favour, mate. I know, member of the under-21 squad. He's not trusted. Farke just doesn't trust him, which, you know, what can you say about that? Okay, let's get on to Brandon Arenson of the USA. Obviously, Brandon Arenson leaving Leeds in the summer months, and there was carnage around Brendan Aronson. Here he is now on screen. Still kind of annoying. I know he's a Leeds player, but I don't know. There's something just not quite right about it. I personally thought in the summer months, Aronson, I didn't want him in the Championship. I made that abundantly clear. Because, I mean, not only have we got a more physical league, but Brendan Arenson, as he's finding out at Union Berlin, as we all called out, is just nowhere near the level when it comes to physicality, athleticism, but ultimately quality, mentality. He seems pretty decent. You know, he's always saying, you know, I want to get better, I want to improve. He's got that sort of American mindset of, you know, nothing gets in the way of my goal, you know, very ultra competitive. But he's been having the same issues at Union Berlin. Same issues at Union Berlin. When I was when we were in Dortmund not long ago, there was a Werder Bremen fan, and we told him that we were Leeds fans, and he mentioned Arenson, and he said he just went like this. He went, "Nah, he's nowhere near the standard," and that's Bundesliga. Now, that's not been detrimental to the Bundesliga, but, you know, it's not the Premier League. You know, the Championship, obviously, you know, I do believe there's a very high expectation that an understanding that Leeds will get promoted this year, but he's just nowhere near good enough. And I just wanted to read out some quotes. He spoke to The Athletic on a potential return to Leeds United. For sure, it's possible. It's not done and dusted. I love the club. I love the guys that I was there with. I felt that it was the best decision I could make for essentially for his career. But I don't think he's quite understood the reaction of Leeds fans to the deserters. And he was a deserter. He left us in the you-know-what. Would I welcome him back? No. And you guys know that I'm a massive Mark Rocker fan. The reason I'm a Mark Rocker fan is not because of his showings in the Premier League, but I genuinely believe, hand on heart, that under Daniel Farke, I've said this multiple times, he would be a much better player. Not playing in a bone idle system like he was playing in for, you know, best part of a year or more. But he's a deserter. And I mentioned him, you know, would I take him back? I'd take him back on ability, but for me, side before self comes before everything. Everything when it comes to Leeds United, as we all know. And he wasn't side before self. So ability-wise, I'd have him back, but personality and what he's done. Now, personality-wise, that's maybe a little bit harsh, but his actions, no chance. He left. And I understand that Union Berlin and Real Betis and clubs of this ilk, Roma, you know, for Rasmus Christensen, are attractive. You know, football's an obvious game, really. You know, the bigger and better clubs come in for you, you're going to go there. But the motto of our club is side before self. And unfortunately for Brendan Arenson, he's not going to be received well. And you probably received better if you were unbelievable the season before, got loaned out because your team went down to the Championship, you know, and then you were coming back, and yeah, it's crap, you are a deserter, but you're a very good player, so the fans will probably come around and say, you're not a good player. You know, so I think it's cheap to the club that he's at right now. I think that it's a cheap thing to say. You know, especially when you're at the club, you know, you're on loan, of course, your parent club is Leeds United, but you're playing for Union Berlin, you're putting that shirt on, you're representing them every week. You can't turn around and say, you know, it's not done and dusted at Leeds United and start talking about Leeds. You know, if Joe Rodon started talking about Spurs right now, it might be realistic, but I'd be upset at it, 100%. Because in my eyes, I want him to be a Leeds United player. I understand the situation is different with Brendan Arenson because he's tripe, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's right. I really don't. You're representing Berlin. And I think a lot of this is now because he's realising that Union Berlin are never going to come in for him. That's never going to happen. You're not good enough. You don't have the desire. You don't have the minerals. Take your time. Seek a move elsewhere. You go back to Austria. Maybe he's going to have to go back to the MLS. Or a European nation which isn't maybe in the top 5 leagues in Europe. You know, maybe sort of like bottom half Ligue 1 would suit him. There's no way he comes back to Leeds United. I'd be really upset if he did. It's going to be a struggle for Leeds to be able to find a suitor for him. It really is. But maybe the fact that he's been at Union Berlin and they showed an interest in him is going to work in Leeds' favour. This is a topic where I can see there's already 49 comments. I'm fascinated to hear what you guys think. And as well, if you're watching this on the replay, get your comments in the section below. Let's have a look what you guys are saying. He knows we're the only option in Europe at the moment. Otherwise, it's back to America. All that left can rot. I think him saying that shows his lack of tribalism that comes with football. I don't think Americans get that. A lot of people comparing Bowyer and Arenson. They're changing their tune now that they see that we're doing well, 100%. And he knows he could potentially be back in the Premier League. Connor, those players that left Leeds were exercising the terms of their contract, relegation release clause. They had not broken the terms of their contract. Blame all of 100%, Michael. But there was that ability. There was that notion that they could have stayed. They could have stayed. Given us a year in the Championship, I was very disappointed in Jack Harrison, even though I still think our front four, he doesn't get in. But I was very disappointed in Jack Harrison as well. Another one to add to that list because just give us 1 year. And you're still going to have suitors. You're still going to have suitors, especially if you do well in the Championship. You might even have better suitors. Would you take Alioski, Janssen, or Taylor, or leave them in the past? Personally, I'd have Alioski back. I don't know, mate. I'm not 100% sure that I'd be looking at those players, to be honest. I am very much living the future sort of thing. Bye, Brendan. Brendan, totally programmed to play in the Red Bull style of football. Yeah, I'd agree with you there. Loaning to Bournemouth, a lot of laughing faces as well. Really interesting this. I have a bad feeling Jack Harrison will be back. I agree with you. Don't want any player that jumps ship. Yeah, exactly, Matt. That's where I'm at. Just because you've got a release clause, you don't need to exercise it. Dimpkpar says, I think you're overreacting on the players that left. I agree with Michael. However, I don't think Arenson is good enough. I agree with you on that. And fair enough, Dimpkpa. Sorry, mate, butchering your name there. That's fair enough. Yeah, I understand that. I don't think there are players that are good enough that come back. In terms of, I think Rocker would improve. I think he's got that technical ability, but would he be good enough? He'd probably be the one at the top who I'd maybe look back, but I think the side before self thing's huge. I really do. And I think at this moment in time, we've got a lot of side before selfers in that team. Would you want to disrupt that? Would you want to poison it? Not for me. Tashin says, don't want hot and cold Harrison back. He isn't fit to lace Cree's boots. I agree with that, mate. Agree with that. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. 30 minutes of Rumour Mill content. I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. As I say, we'll be doing a preview later on. That's why I don't want to go on too much. We'll be speaking Plymouth. We'll be doing all this sort of good stuff with Brownie in the building. That'll be about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 30. If you want some bonus transfer content, head on over to the Patreon, where we're going to be speaking about certain individuals that I'd be looking at when it comes to Leeds United. Link is in the description below, guys. All proceeds go to the continued upkeep of One Leeds, which will be pumping out more and more videos. We'll be doing watch-alongs. We're going to be doing YouTube Shorts. We're going to be putting stuff on our TikTok account. If you want to head on over there, we're going to be doing more bits with Gabe, more bits with Brownie, more of the Leeds content creators hopefully coming on the channel. It's going to be really exciting stuff, guys, and I can't wait. Before you leave, smash a like on the video. As I say, really appreciate your support, and I hope you're going to be enjoying the schedule that's coming forward. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've been Connor, and I'll see you in a bit.